Now we'll take things a step further and talk about these things in terms of compound statements. So if we've got statements P and Q, well, the first column we create, no matter how many statements we have, is where we list all of our options for what can happen P and Q. So our first column starts with Q, and since they're all we look at, close off that column and don't worry about the second one just yet. Here what we're going to do is list out all of the possibilities for whether something is true or false. Remember, with a statement, the defining characteristic is that it is true or it is false. So here we have to list out all of our cases for that pair. Either P is true and Q is true, P is true and Q is false, P is false and Q is true, or P is false and Q is false. These are our four cases here, how these things can be arranged. In general, we like to go sort of by twos in a sense with this arrangement. As long as you get all 8, that's really the important thing though. Excuse me, all 4 true cases. That's the important thing, getting the cases together. And then what we do is we make another column for the conjunction of P and Q. That is to say, we look at where this is true and where it is false. Well, there are a couple of obvious cases you can start with. If P is Q and Q is true, then P and Q, true. Both are true, both are true. Okay. And if both are false, both are false. Remember, that's what the conjunction says. We look at both. On the other hand, if one is true and the other is false, you can think of the false part as winning, because in order for both to be true, both have to be true. Conjunction is false for both of those cases as well. And in general, conjunctions are only true if all terms. So if we had a 3-term conjunction there, and we'll look at something a bit like that later, we would need all 3 to be true, because if anything is ever false, then you can't say that all 3 are true, and or all of them are true, and that's what a conjunction looks like. It says, let's take all of our pieces and see what happens. On the other hand, for a disjunction, we have something very similar. Where instead, if we're going to look at disjunction, well, we still start in Q, where we're going to list out the 4 possible combinations. Either both are true, first is true, second is false, first is false, second is true, or both are false. Then, for our second column, we have our disjunction, P or Q. And in this case, we're looking at whether either of them. So we can again do the obvious case. If both are false, then the whole thing is false. And since we're not looking at exclusive values, both being true is still valid to make both of them true. If one is true, then the whole thing is true, because we're saying either can be. So these cases are also true. And in general, disjunctions are only false if all terms are false. Because a disjunction says, okay, look at any of these things. If one of them's good, that's good enough for me. So, conjunctions, everything's got to be true to remain true. Disjunctions, everything's got to be false to become false.